All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the profound teachings of Master Ni-Haixia from his work, Tianji. And let me tell you, it kicks off with a pretty radical idea. What if the most important truths, the real deep stuff, aren't something you learn from a book, but something you actually perceive directly from the world around you?
So, let's jump right in. This entire framework is designed to challenge everything you think you know about, well, knowing itself.
So this is really the central question we're wrestling with today. What if true wisdom has nothing to do with how many facts you can memorize? What if, instead, it's all about your ability to perceive the fundamental rules of how the universe works? I mean, that's a massive shift in how we typically think about intelligence, right?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the core duality of spirit versus form, then see how this idea leads to simplicity. After that, we'll get into some really practical applications, from the I Ching all the way to the blueprint of your own home. We'll also touch on a critique of modern knowledge, and finally, a path to real understanding.
All right, first up, the spirit versus the form. Now, to really get a handle on this entire system, you've got to understand this one core idea. It's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about, the distinction between what's called the spirit and the form.
So you have Shen, which is the inner spirit, the core principle, the unchanging essence of something. And then you have Xing, which is the outer appearance, the form, the method. Now, Master Ni-Haixia argument is that the modern world is completely obsessed with the Xing, the job title, the diploma, the shiny new car. But in that obsession, we completely ignore the Shen, the actual skill, the real knowledge, the genuine happiness. It's like we're all chasing the fancy packaging and forgetting what's actually inside.
Let's break that down. The form, or Sheng, is all the stuff we can easily see and write down. Think about company policies, traffic laws, or even a recipe. They're rules. But the spirit, the Shen, is that deeper principle behind the rules. So instead of just don't speed, the spirit is drive safely. Instead of 1,000 HR rules, the spirit is treat people fairly. You see the difference? The whole point is to stop just memorizing a bunch of rules and start truly understanding the principles that created them in the first place.
Okay, so what happens when we start focusing on the spirit instead of the form? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The lecturer argues that true understanding doesn't make things more complicated. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It leads to this radical, beautiful simplicity.
I love this quote. Understanding makes things simple. If a field of study is simple, it's because you understand it. This completely flips our usual idea of what an expert is, doesn't it? We think an expert is someone who's mastered a mountain of complex rules. But this philosophy says, no, the real goal is to grasp that one simple principle that makes all that complexity totally irrelevant.
And the computer is a perfect example. I mean, think about it. The physical form, its Sheng, went from a machine that filled an entire room to something that fits in your pocket. How did that happen? It happened because our understanding of its core principles, its Shen, got deeper and deeper. This is the proof. True understanding always leads to simplicity and elegance.
So, from theory, let's get practical. How does this actually apply in the real world? We're going to start by looking at the I Ching, and it's presented here not as some kind of vague superstition, but as a seriously powerful tool for making better decisions. Now, to use it properly, you have to understand this key distinction between Ming and Yun. Think of Ming as your fate, the hand you're dealt, the things that are fixed. But Yun is your fortune. That's what you do with the hand you're dealt. And that part, that's in your own hands. That's the part you can absolutely change.
And this is so important. The whole point of divination in this context isn't to tell you, hey, you're doomed, this is what's going to happen. No, it's about showing you the most likely outcome if you stay on your current path. And knowing that ahead of time is incredibly empowering because it gives you the chance to change your actions right now to create a totally different and hopefully better future.
Okay, now let's get super concrete. We're going from the philosophical to the physical. We're going to see how these very same principles can be mapped directly onto the layout of your home. This is a fascinating field called Yang, Jiaji, Shui, or residence theory. So the theory basically sees your home as a mini-universe. Each direction, northwest, southwest, east, and so on, holds a specific type of energy, or trigram, that corresponds to a specific member of the family. The father is in the northwest, the mother in the southwest, the eldest son in the east. You get the idea. The core principle is beautifully simple. When everyone is in their correct energetic position, the whole system, the family, just flows in harmony.
But what happens when that natural order gets mixed up? Let's say the eldest son sleeps in the northwest room, which is the father's position. The theory claims this creates very specific, predictable problems. The son might start acting rebellious, kind of subconsciously thinking, hey, I'm the man of the house now. Or, on the flip side, he might feel completely crushed by a weight of responsibility that's just not his to carry yet.
And it gets even deeper into the symbolism of the rooms themselves. See, every room carries a kind of image or energy. A kitchen, for instance, is full of knives, so its image is cutting, maybe even surgery. If you put the kitchen in the father's area, the northwest, it's said to harm the father. Or think about a bathroom. It's a place for waste and filth. Put that in the father's area, and it could symbolize him facing messy disputes or even financial loss. It's all about the symbolic energy of the space and how it interacts with the person's position.
So now that we've seen how this system works in a very practical sense, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture. Because this leads directly into Master Ni-Haix's really powerful critique of how our modern society, especially our education system, handles knowledge.
Just read this quote for a second. They enter elementary school bright and lively. They come out of university with the light gone from their eyes, dazed. Wow, that's a heavy statement, isn't it? It's a direct shot at an education system that he believes prioritizes memorizing the form, facts and figures, over actually understanding the spirit. The result? We produce people who are stuffed with information but have lost that spark, that ability to think for themselves, to be truly wise.
And he argues that our system pushes people into one of two traps, and both are equally dangerous. On one hand, you have learning without thinking. That's just blindly memorizing what you read without ever questioning it. On the other hand, you have thinking without learning, which is just speculating wildly without any real foundation of knowledge. Neither one works. The correct path is to learn first, get the foundation, and then think deeply about it. So, if the modern way has all these flaws, how do we actually avoid these traps? Well, the lecture doesn't just criticize, it offers a solution. It lays out a really clear method for how to genuinely learn and seek out the truth.
And this four-step process, it's going to sound really counterintuitive to how most of us were taught to learn. Step 1 is radical. You start by assuming the theory is correct, just for a while. Don't argue with it, don't pick it apart, just accept it. Step 2, learn everything about it. Go deep. Step 3, after you've learned it, then you reflect, you think, you criticize. And finally, the most important step, you have to go out and verify it in the real world. Does it actually work?
And to do any of this, you need what's called a beginner's mind. You have to approach learning like your mind is an empty cup, ready to be filled. You have to be willing to set aside all your preconceptions, all the things you think you already know, and just be genuinely open to a completely new way of seeing things. Without that, you'll never really grasp the spirit of any subject.
And really, when you boil it all down, this entire framework is a challenge. It's asking us to look at our own lives. Think about your career, your education, your relationships. Are you chasing the form? The job title, the grades, the superficial appearance of things? Or are you truly seeking the spirit, that deeper truth, that unchanging essence of what really matters?
That's a powerful question to end on, and one worth thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.